In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.
Hola, bon dia, alegria. Munson here with a Good Morning Portugal show, a live stream and podcast. Just managed to get that right there. How are you this morning? Are you feeling like Julius Caesar this morning? This is, I think, a suggestion. If you want to bring me a present back from Rome, how about one of these very nice Julius Caesar pen holders, desk tidies? How are you doing there, Ian? Thank you for your correspondence, your continued correspondence from Rome. Italy, and yeah, I guess other Romes are available. There's a few Romes probably in America, aren't there? But yeah, the Rome, the Eternal City. Thank you very much, Coach Turner, for your continued coverage of your journey over there and the fun you're having, as well as Bob and Viv, who've been up with Lisa at the alpaca farm, having a great time. I've got some lovely pics and vids from people and what they've been up to this weekend. Anna, thank you for your early morning shots from the Algarve this morning. A little preview here from Philomena with a Caretush there. Isn't that amazing? She'll be with us on Friday, of course. Thank you very much for that one, Philomena. Also, we've got pictures in... Who else have we got pictures from? Johnny Cocktail, an amazing event that you were at in the Algarve. So we'll cover that as well. So thank you, everybody, for your pictures and videos on 913-590-303 on WhatsApp. And of course, we'll continue our conversation with James this morning. Immigrant fatigue or immigration fatigue. Yeah, immigration fatigue rather than having... I mean, it is possible to have fatigue around immigrants, isn't it? Meetups aren't always great, but so we're talking about immigration fatigue. And I've renamed it Disease X, Pat. See what I did there? Hey! Disease X, Pat. I might even write about it. And the cures in the Portugal Resident this coming week. My article for the Portugal Resident has been published very early this week. If you like your facts and figures and your stats about Portugal and what's projected for the future, I've covered that this week, actually. It's not all just pure opinion as it usually is. I did a bit of research, funnily enough. I did a bit of research, got a few facts about how some of the great and the good see Portugal in this next decade or so, and then add my 2 penneth to that as well. So that's already up online, and that'll be out, of course, on Thursday when the Portugal Resident is published. There is a GMP VIP subscription discount if you want that over at the Portugal Club as well, and read it online or buy it. I'd still like to buy it and have a newspaper, a real newspaper in my hands once a week. So how are you doing? Who's in this morning? Joao de Norte is in. Owen Baddy, I think, is here. James's name of the week is Grateful and Not Dead. Just chucking. Well done. Made it to another week. Pam's in as well. Good morning to you, Pam. And, of course, the great coach with the God Squad tip of the day. So let's do that. Let's do the God Squad tip of the day. And we'll save the mindful moment and mindful dad joke for when James arrives, and we can do that together, as well as a little bit more elephant in the room action. Me, James, and an elephant walk into a language class. Kind of. Jackie the humble crafter, also here this morning. So how's everyone doing? Do let me know in the chat. Let's start with the God Squad tip of the day. Coach Turner was in at 6:19, my goodness. 7:19 for him, I think, an hour ahead, right, in Italy. Bon dia, Gumbers. New week of opportunities beckons. We're currently heading to Geneva from Rome on our way to Chamonix for a few days. Have a great week, everyone. Fantastic. God's God tip of the day. They're not so much a tip, but an admission. After nearly a week of eating and drinking, my systems in plural, are beginning to complain. It's always a problem traveling, and I don't have an answer. I'm sorry to laugh, but I suppose your body is coping with a new environment, isn't it? And you're busy. You're having all sorts of experiences. It's quite stressful, presumably for the body. It's great for the mind, isn't it? Largely, to be in this new environment and to be stimulated, but perhaps for the body, not so much. However, one tactic I've been using more and more these past few days: take more water with it. A few days of detox begins. So he ran into that, and now maybe just slowly jogging away from Rome. But I bet it was worth it, Coach Turner? Thank you very much for that. Remember to drink water, everybody. I mean, I don't remember to drink water. And every now and then I'm thinking, what is it? Why am I? Oh, I'm just thirsty. It's a good first check, is it not? Well, first check, am I breathing? Second check, am I dehydrated? Okay, thank you very much for that, Coach. Then have a superb time in Chamonix and a lovely trip to Geneva there. From James, just briefly then, bom dia, Gampers. Feliz segunda a todos. Como foi o vosso fim de semana? So how was your weekend? Do let us know in the chat as well. Let James know. And be sure to join us. Pete also in. Good morning to you, Pete and Anna. I'm seeing as well. And Paul Rees. Hello, mate. Bon dia. Looking forward to Tig's comments today. Always forthright and accurate. Absolutely. You're two of a kind, aren't you? Both of you forthright and accurate, I would say. And Michael Barton, good morning to you. Bon dia, Gumpers. Hope everyone had a great weekend. Well, judging by the documentary evidence. Oh, Pam's on the bus listening to the show. Send us a picture, please, of the A8. Pam, if you will. Research, what's that? Yeah, I know. What am I like? Let's stay with the coach for a moment and look at the many ceilings of Rome. And let's go through these. And I don't know where they are, quite honestly. Some of you will recognize them, but I neglected to share them on Friday, I think, in the hurly-burly of the Feel Good Friday edition last Friday. But I mean, look at this. He's had an amazing time, clearly, in Rome, and he's been on his back quite a lot. Yes, we're all in the gutter. Some of us have been looking at Roman ceilings, as well as trompe-l'oeil, which I know is French rather than Italian, but that one there is noteworthy. That is the Borromini's Perspective Gallery, a very special optical illusion. And we also had an Italian deep thought, didn't we? In the same way that illusion may cause small shapes to appear great, worldly matters that appear great may prove to be illusionary and insignificant. That was Cardinal Spada who commissioned that piece of work there. So forgive me if I'm reading that for a second time, but I think that's an Italian mindful moment. And I've got a feeling I didn't get to that last week. So in the same way, the illusion may cause small shapes to appear great. Worldly matters that appear great may prove to be illusionary and insignificant. Cardinal Spada. Isn't that great? Really good. Pam did a watercolor class apparently this weekend. B and C equals last donut. I think I've missed something for context there. I shall scan back across the comments to make sure we've got that right, and taking a last lingering look at that optical illusion there in Rome. What a city, what a place, what a culture. Fantastic. Thank you for that. So wonderful pictures from Rome. What's this here? Oh, that's Johnny Cocktail's trip. We can't show you that yet. We'll come. There's a little series of those. Let's do Anna's pics from the Algarve this morning. Greetings from VRSA. Then look at the color there, quite extraordinary. And let me see if I can find your comments to go with them as well. Yes, here you are. Bon dia from VRSA. So much color inside. Oh, sorry, so much color outside now. Even the Alfaroba is on its way. Now, I don't know what the Alfaroba is. I've got a feeling it might be that, which I first thought was either a chameleon or some sort of chameleon orgy in a tree, like they do down there in the Algarve. You know what they're like. So that's not lizards, is it? That's I think that might be the Alfaroba. Did you call it? Does anybody know that? I'm going to put a spelling into the chat. Of course, Anna will know, but maybe we can have that as a bit of a Portugal quiz this morning. So what is it? What is Alfaroba? I wonder. But thank you for your beautiful pictures, Anna. The sunrise this morning. Look, it looks like you got enough water in the Algarve for the time being there as well. A little bit of a swamp there, a floodplain perhaps, and I imagine there's a few birds just wading around and picking out a few little fish and critters out of the water. Is that the Alfaroba, I wonder? And some blossom. Who doesn't like some blossoms first thing in the morning? And I'm putting the spelling of that alfaroba in there. Carob. It is the Portuguese for carob, perhaps, if that's the answer to that question, Paul. Thank you very much. Beautiful pictures. Thank you very much for those this morning. If I just go in picture deck order here, we move on to, apparently, we're told, cats like dragon fruit. And is that a cat or is that a gremlin from the famous 80s movie? It certainly looks like cats do enjoy dragon fruit. So that's Joël de Nort, the new pussy in the Joël de Nort household, enjoying a bit of dragon fruit. Do dragons enjoy cat fruit? Was my retort to Joël de Nort there. But that cat looking like that little kitten there, looking like it's absolutely savaging fruit. And I don't associate the enjoyment of fruit with cats, but there must be some kind of natural. What's not kitty litter? What's the other thing that cats like? Catnip. Maybe there's natural catnip inside dragon fruits. I mean, humans don't really like dragon fruit. Let's be honest. Dragon fruit is just quite a nice ornament, isn't it, on a plate? I don't think it's especially tasty. But to a cat, look at that. It's all over it. And Joël de Nort, bit slow on the uptake here. It was Working Naked Day on, would that have been Friday? Sorry, I missed the opportunity. I would have taken part in that. It wouldn't have been for the first time that I've been naked presenting the Good Morning Portugal show. Did anyone else rock up to work naked? Did anyone else get fired? Or has anyone else got an HR meeting this morning as a result of taking part in Working Naked Day? Unless, of course, you work for a sort of naturist organization, and that's just de rigueur for you. But anyway, hope that went well for you if you partook of that last Friday. We're going to go look at the alpaca farm, Lisa's alpaca farm. Of course, we had Lisa on the show, and she'll be joining us in a residency from here on in. Should we look at those pictures now? Yeah, let's do that. Let's go. Very a bulging picture deck today. So we'll go to Aveiro. I was hoping to do a try something Portuguese this morning. Do you remember this? Used to do this. Yeah, and I was in Auchan on Saturday, I think it was, and I saw one of my favourite soap. I've got the eau de cologne and I've got the shaving cream, and there's the soap. And then I looked to the side of it. There's a load more Brito soaps. Look at these, and I was going to unbox them. You know, like they do those unboxing videos on YouTube. I was going to give these a sniff this morning. Basil and Pine. Propolis soap. Aren't these beautiful? I think they're absolutely beautiful. I love the packaging. But we haven't got time this morning, I don't think, for that. And Limão, a Sabonette Savon soap from Brito there. 160 grams of beautifully made soap from the north of Portugal, I believe. They might come back to that. But we have... Oh, we didn't go to the racetrack with the coach. Let me complete on that. As I say, I've got a bulging... Lucky me, I've got a bulging picture and video deck this morning. And missing things out here. So let's just catch up with the coach who went to a couple of stadiums. Of course, he's an athletics coach. He'd have loved to have gone to these places, which he did, and is sending us video now. Isn't that fantastic with the with the sound of the crowd there? Have I not entertained you enough? I just keep wanting to be a gladiator when I hear those sort of sounds and see that sort of environment. Let's go to a more modern stadium now, I believe. Oh, I see. Not athletic. Is that the England versus Rome rugby versus Italy rugby fixture there? A bit confused, but that it certainly looks like that to me. What an atmosphere, and beautiful to watch rugby in the sunshine. If that's indeed what it was there, coach. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yes, of course, the rugby began, didn't it? A rugby tournament. Which one is it that's happened over this last weekend? Forgive my ignorance on these matters. Can't know everything. I mean, I give it a good go. So should we go and look at some alpacas now? Let's do that. And let's start with some video from up there near Aveiro at the Montefrio alpaca farm.
These two, because that's mum. Yeah. This is her daughter. They both have the duck babies 2 weeks apart. And they both feed duck babies. Oh, nice.
It's just normal. It's just Bob and Viv and Lisa walking a pack of alpacas. Is that what they're called? I wonder what it is. A herd of alpacas, probably, isn't it? And there's some more.
Are you counting?
12. Yeah.
Okay, there you
That's
go.
it.
Stop at 12. Stop at 12 o'clock. Yep, great.
Okay.
There you go.
All right.
I think, wow, well, belated birthday wishes to you, Viv, because I think that was your birthday treat from Bob. Well played, Bob. Fantastic. Making alpaca yarn there, possibly, Viv. What a lovely weekend it looks like you've had. Let's have a look at a few more pictures. So, yes, it would appear that a stay at Lisa's is bookable, and you can have a fine time hanging out with alpacas and take crazy pictures of alpacas like this. Look, how fabulous. Wonderful pictures. Thank you very much to you, Bob, the photographer on these. If you can't get enough of alpacas, that's the place to not get enough of alpacas. Clearly up there. Do you mind? We're trying to eat here, I think that alpaca might be saying. And Viv, I think, very happy and has had a great time this weekend. So thank you very much, folks, for those. Absolutely superb. Oh, at this rate, we might have a bit of time to sniff some Portuguese soap. Let us go then to the Algarve now. Oh, actually, maybe not. We've got a lot of comments coming in, haven't we? So before we go with Johnny Cocktail, and I'll tell you where Johnny's been. Let's have a look. Johnny was at an event in, where is this? In Altamura, Castelmani, just back from the Almond? What do you say? Mark Almond. Just back from the Almond Blossom Festival in Altamura, Castelmani. Taberna a Pipa came all the way from Leiria, and I made it worth their while. Easy task on that IPA. It was so delicious. Oh, they've got to be in our craft beer corner. That's starting this Wednesday with Owen and James from the Anson Brewery. The two gents are Gordon, my driver, and Gabriel Silveira. They do it all at Senecal Brewery in Castelmari. Rest of the photos are of what I call the meat boat. Yes, the meat boat. Some pick-a-pout action going on there. 6 sausages, 4 cutlets, and a bunch of pickled veggies, and a partridge gently roasted, of pickled veggies that were pushed out of the way. We crushed it. They also, that's definitely some pick-a-pout action, isn't it? They also had a 41-meter long, 35.5 kilogram almond cake, a roll cake for the community there. So let's have a look at those pictures. Oh, and thanks, Pam, for your picture from the bus. Day trip to Lisbon. That's fantastic. Thank you very much for that as well. We'll pop that on before we go anywhere else. And before we get into the rest of Johnny's pictures there, let's see what's being said in the chat. Antonio Barbosa is with us as well. Good morning, folks. Thank you for being here on this wonderful Monday morning where the weather is brightening up already. I'm looking forward to going out for a nice little stroll with the dogs after the show this morning. Didn't go out before. It will be after this morning. So, yes, bon dia from Jackie, the humble crafter. And, a dad joke from Pete. How many Californias does it take to change a light bulb? 100. 1 to change the light bulb and 99 to share the experience, man. Bon dia a todos from a cloudy VRSA. How many people from Fundao does it take to change a light bulb, I wonder, Pete? I wonder, because it's probably like there's a permaculture version of that joke there, isn't it? We don't have light bulbs. We have candles over here in Fundao. Bon dia todos from a cloudy VRSA, an amazing outdoor weekend in the sun. 26,000 steps on Saturday. Well done, Anna. Keep up that great work. Hola, bon dia, still in Iceland, but we'll be sleeping in Lisbon tonight. Cannot wait. Fantastic, buddy. Sounds like you're on your way today. So the pen and pencil are at least as mighty as the sword, absolutely, as Julius Caesar found out there. The Ides of March, a little bit early, I think, on this, aren't we? But what a fantastic! I just saw it online. I thought, I wonder if the coach has seen that on his travels around Rome. All right, thank you, James, for that. See you soon in about 10 minutes. And Owen in, morning all, and hola bon dia todos from João do Norte. Where is the alpaca farm based? Not far from Leiria. I will be looking to buy a full raw fleece in different colors when I arrive. You will get on famously, I suspect, with our friend Lisa up there. Bon dia from Pam earlier on this morning. And here's the picture from the bus. Not on the A8 yet, but here's probably where would you have got? You'd have jumped on at Alcobaça, would you? I don't recognise that road there. Is that the N8, mate? That could be. Sorry, I'm getting all kind of road geeky there, aren't I? And just a Portuguese road, nothing to get too excited about. And yeah, on that bus for a day out in Lisbon today. Thank you for being here, Michael Barton, Paul Rees. Oh, we all know the 7 deadly sins, right? A, lust. B, gluttony. It's nice to be reminded, though, if anyone wants to sort of check what sort of weekend they've had. Excuse me for just one moment. I wasn't checking what sort of weekend I had. I need to cough there. So if you want to use this as a checklist for how you got on this weekend, lust, yeah, check. Gluttony, you definitely. Greed, probably. Sloth, yeah, a little bit of that. Wrath, yes. I've been fighting people on the internet, of course, on Facebook especially. Envy, not so much, possibly a little bit. G, pride, oh, definitely pride. But what do we call it when we combine them? Here is an example. B plus D equals Saturday. B plus, this is great. What a good game. B plus, this would make a great matrix or an app. Be a really good app, the 7 Deadly Sins app. And you just program in there and you get a little bit of feedback, maybe a little printout. I did a watercolor class this weekend. Well done, Pam. When do you do that? Is that in Alcobaça? Others might like to know about that one. B plus E equals bulimia, apparently there. He's not a doctor, by the way. That sounds awesome. Pam Smith, what a wonderful weather you had for it. I did one last summer and had to use a far brighter color palette than from the UK, thankfully. B plus G, continuing with the 7 Deadly Sins matrix. Oh, it's the George Soros combo there. The fat man in the Speedos bringing down civilization, possibly, as well there. And thank you very much, Carib. Alfaroba is Carib there. Wonderful. Cheers, Pam, for that as well. And Paul Richards. You only have to say the Algarve. It's like putting the kettle on. Say the Algarve and any pops. Paul Richards, good morning to you, mister. Greetings from an overcast Algarve, but not for long. Now then, how's they doing there in the Algarve, Paul? Work? What's that? Yeah, I know. Sorry to remind people who've cured themselves of that condition. Don't worry, I don't suppose you're going to have a relapse. Just naked day again, I guess, again. Oh, I see. Okay, so maybe James has nothing on. And he appears every Monday with just a top on and very little else. Pinky's in, bon dia. Talking of naked James, and straight on to Pinky. Bon dia. Sorry about that, Pinky. Bon dia, alegria. Saudações desde Vila Nova de Cerveira. Não a verdejante a frescominho, desejando a todos vocês uma feliz segunda-feira e uma excelente semana pela frente. So a lovely week ahead. Lovely greetings there from the man in the Minho. Abraço. And in no particular order, edible pants. Hold on a minute. I need to check this one. A plus B. So if you combine lust with gluttony, yeah, edible pants, I suppose, would cover it, as it were. So to speak. Bob and Viv, love for Bob and Viv from Sarah, who's in as well this morning. Bon dia to you, Sarah. Jim White also. Bon dia a todos. How you doing, Jim? Anna Viva. Bon dia, alegria. And Dan wants that pencil holding statue. And not any old statue. That is the... I guess that's how a lot of people feel at work, isn't it? I certainly can remember... that would have been quite a statement on my desk at my last proper job. It wasn't that proper. It was a job for sure, and I had a great time there. It works fine, isn't it? Apart from some of the colleagues often, and that would have made a beautiful statement at times in my working life to stick on the edge of my desk and just smile knowingly at colleagues. Right, I don't know where to get it from, Sarah and Dan, but if I do, I will let you know, of course. And that was just near Capuchos. Now that is wine club tonight. We've got a wine club this evening. Thank you for that reminder. Oh, yeah, and a few more pickies from Johnny Cocktail. So where am I going to show you? Oh, yeah, we'll go to the Portugal Club for details of the wine club in just a moment after we've had a little look at Johnny Cocktail's pictures, which will segue us nicely into the arrival of the semi-naked James. He presents this front of being clothed for these Monday performances, but he let it slip, so not literally. I hope we should find out in just a moment. Stick around for that after we've heard the the strum with which we've become accustomed to that heralds his arrival on a Monday morning. G+F is second place trophy. This is working well. I think we need to bring this off the page a little bit, Jardinor, with a full-on matrix or illustrated video of the 7 deadly sins. Right, where did we get to? Oh yeah, we're talking about the wine club tonight and Johnny Cocktail's pictures. Yes, just to complete on your very kind submission of videos and images. Thank you so much for these. Where have Johnny Cocktails gone? I did have them a little bit earlier on. Here we go. Johnny Cocktail has been at the Almond Blossom Festival, I think it is basically. But look at that. That's a fine barbecue of meats. I think, as he said, he pushed all the pick-a-pow vegetables straight into the bin and tucked straight into all the booze there and the burgers and the meat. And he liked their IPA, which I'm thinking Seneschal. I'm sorry, I mispronounced that earlier on. Lush and hoppy golden IPA. Yeah, I think I'd have been straight all over that as well. But there's the Mystic Brew, which is a Dunkel at 7%. That we need to talk about, Owen, when we chat on with James, I think, on Wednesday. That's definitely a submission for our craft beer corner. And this is where Johnny Cocktail was. That's a great looking bar, isn't it? Fantastic. Made out of old barrels by the look of it there. Fabulous stuff. And the two aforementioned gentlemen, I think the proprietor and Johnny Cocktail's designated driver there. And a very nice looking commemorative mug, I think, from that event too. Good work. Looks like you had a fine time. And there's the pick-a-pow platter. What a waste of time those vegetables turned out to be in the middle there. But in there somewhere, 6 sausages, several cutlets, and other meat products in there. And don't forget Friday, Filomena Friday.
Filomena Friday.
Oh, yes, she'll be joining us and explaining herself with this picture here. Carretos, one of the great icons of Portuguese culture. Of course, 2 minutes, 2. And there was another thing I wanted to share with you. Yes, of course, the wine club tonight. Just time to do that before we welcome James. And we talk a little bit more about Disease X, Pat. See what I did there? Immigration fatigue. And it's Go Alentejo tonight at 8 o'clock. And I'll give you the link to this if you want to find out more, if you're over there at the Portugal Club. So tonight, the Good Morning Portugal Wine Club, we've tasted over 60 wines, it would appear, since we started out in 2020, when we were all boozing at home, locked down and boozing at home. And it's a tradition we've continued. And we urge you tonight to get a bottle of wine from the Alentejo and join us. Go grab yourself a bottle of Alentejo wine, bring it along tonight, and let us know what you think of it. From 8 o'clock this evening, that's what the Wine Ninjas will be doing. And if you pop over to the Portugal Club, there's a lovely video there of a couple of folks, as you can see on the screen, talking about the region. And of course, the Alentejo, such a great gift to in terms of food and wine and culture, to overall Portuguese culture. So a lovely little video to watch there. And there is the link to it in the chat there. Impeccable timing. And let's spin his tune and then welcome him onto the screens. James Holley after this.
Bom dia!
Epa! Bom dia! Tudo bem? Como estás?
Muito bem. E tu, como estás?
Muito bem, obrigado. Não tenho immigration fatigue, a.k.a. doença gish. Pat. This morning.
Sim. Igualmente.
Isto é complicado. Look, if you need a bit of help with this, here we go. Look, here we go. This is the latest offering. We are a couple of swells, aren't we? And a couple of good actors, I would say. If this language thing doesn't make it, at least we can offer ourselves as actors in illustrated books. We've done a good job, don't you think?
Not bad. And I just knocked off 5 or 6 quick ones.
Who doesn't like
we
to?
Need more, I can make them. Selfies are easy now.
Yeah. Look, here we go. Come on, vai. Elton. Oh, you can do
Eu tenho doença X-Pat.
Zhishpat. That's such a good word, isn't it? Zhishpat. I don't think we've ever said that before. And then, of course, this is a really great bit of vocabulary to have for anyone who's not feeling the May West. As melhoras, amigo. So get well soon, basically. Portuguese.
Obrigado.
De nada, de nada. You take it easy, my friend, and tell us more this
Ciao,
morning.
ciao.
Don't stand up. We know you're not wearing pants. We do now, anyway. And there's a mirror behind you. It's as very uncompromising. And you've got your first review on the screen there. Awesome. That might be you. It might be the wine that is being talked about.
He asked a question about getting the right wine for once. For me, it's
Yes.
easy. It's just the cheapest one on the shelf is always the right wine.
Classy. And well,
Yeah.
the thing about that is, of course, is it's usually pretty good as well, isn't it?
I haven't had any wine that I've purchased, and I only purchased the cheapest wine on the shelf. I try to get a different, brand and all, but none of them have I gone, oh my God, that just tastes like vinegar. I mean, nothing. It's all good. Now,
this is why the shopkeepers are always so pleased to see you. Here he comes again. Having a party, are we?
yes. And the shopkeeper is one of the supermarkets. So.
Oh, okay, all right. So yeah, they don't care, do they? They don't care.
No.
Hola, James from Aviva. And yes, the 7 Deadly Sins Matrix has been sent to me. If anybody wants to try their luck a little bit later on, we can do that. But for the time being, I think the debut of Immigration Fatigue was very good. There is a segment of it on our YouTube channel, and it's a great idea. And then it led me on to this idea of Disease X, the much announced and researched mystery condition for which treatment is nearly already ready. Why not make Disease X, Pat? And that is the immigration fatigue you've been talking about, James. Why not?
Well, there you go. And when I saw your comment on that, I of course I love riffing with you, so I just put D''ZZZZ like sleeping.
Yes.
Disease.
Doenças as well.
That's right. Fatigue.
That's right. Yep, superb. This is working, and I may well write about it this week. So, have you had any further thoughts or feedback from people on this during this week?
I have not. No. So
okay, you've just been at home drinking cheap wine, mainly. Right?
Yeah, with no pants on.
It's an admirable and enviable lifestyle, isn't it? You should have your own channel. I keep telling you, people would pay good money to find out how to do that successfully.
I have been cautioned by the police that it's not okay to go out in public that way. So
okay, fair enough. And they were very, very good natured about it. I understand.
Senor, no. Por favor. Por favor.
Yeah, don't mind him. He's got disease Zhishpat. Typical. It's one of the symptoms. But, so have you had any further thoughts on this?
No, not really. It felt pretty complete to me last week when I talked about it. And again, it's sometimes it feels weird to spend time talking about something that occupies such a tiny percentage of your life, but there are those moments, and it was one of those things that felt to me like, if I've had this experience, I'm almost positive I'm not the only one, and it could be helpful to bring an awareness to it and just be able to put a label on it, put a name on it, say, oh, yeah, this is that sort of immigration fatigue thing I think that James is talking about. You know? And then what can I do about it? Mostly breathe, just carry on, do the things. So, yeah, it felt fairly complete to me.
Good. Okay. Well, it happens, doesn't it? That is suffice to say, it happens. And I'm going to put a link to it into the chat should anybody want to review and go back on that. That's on our YouTube channel now as a segment from last Monday. So it sounds like either other things or nothing has been on your mind in the following week.
Nothing sits there too long. But as I was looking at what might I want to address this week, I realized that we've been talking about this mindfulness thing a lot. I mean, the word mindfulness comes up, sort of making the assumption that everyone has the same idea or definition of what we're talking about. And I realized that's probably not a good assumption to make. And so I thought, well, maybe I'll talk about what I'm talking about when I'm talking about mindfulness, what it means to me and how I define it.
Well, that's good. That's good, because a lot of these things that get turned into a soundbite or a slogan, it becomes an assumption, doesn't it? And a concept or an ideology rather than an active thing. So yes, a useful reminder. And perhaps we can start with something I nearly forgot, is your mindful insertions earlier on. That'll be a good place to start, I think, James.
Perfetto. So the mindful moment, the aim of life. Oh, wait, that was last week.
It was, but it was worthy of repetition. It's worthy of repetition. I don't mind this at all. Yeah, Henry Miller. I think I drove past one of his many houses on the coast road. On what's it called, Big Sur? Did he not have a nice house along there on Big Sur?
I think so. Yeah, I don't know a lot about him. I recognize his name, but not a whole lot else. So,
okay.
The aim of life is to live. To live means to be aware, joyously, drunkenly, serenely, divinely aware.
Mm.
And awareness is kind of what we're talking about, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And so I guess what he's saying there, and the spiritually correct might say, oh, it's not a good thing to be drunken or these lesser states of humanity. But perhaps the truly spiritual thing would be to be living life fully, enjoying all aspects of life as they come along, but to do it in an aware, perhaps mindful way.
Well, and drunkenly, you can make an assumption that means consumption of alcohol, but that's not what it means.
Yeah,
you can be drunkenly joyous, you can be drunkenly serene or divinely aware. It's basically a sort of a euphoric state or a very relaxed, uninhibited state, I guess, mostly. So that works. But yes, I love it. That's Henry Miller. I mean, from what little I know of him, he's a pretty hard living guy. So to be drunkenly aware would make sense for him.
I will. I'll share a picture of him in just a moment, so you can see who we're talking about and who said that. Henry Valentine Miller. A good start in life, I think, to have the middle name Valentine. Born in 1891 and lived to 1980. He was an American novelist, short story writer, and essayist. He broke with existing literary forms and developed a Maverick, a new type of semi-autobiographical novel that blended character study, social criticism, philosophical reflection, stream of consciousness, explicit language, sex, surrealist free association, and mysticism. That's a lot going on in one book, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
His most characteristic works of this kind are Tropic of Cancer, Black Spring, Tropic of Capricorn, and the trilogy The Rosy Crucifixion, which are based on his experiences in New York City and Paris, all of which were banned in the United States until 1961. How about that? Certain administrations.
You know a book to read when it's banned in the U.S.
Where can I get it?
Get that book. Quick, kids, go to the library.
It's good for sales. Good for sales, I'm sure.
Yes.
He also wrote travel memoirs and literary criticism. And he also painted watercolors as well. So in good company there with Pam. This morning, fresh from a watercolor workshop. And look, here he is. Quite an unassuming looking fellow, you might say, given all about him.
The image doesn't fit the idea, I think.
No, right, maybe. And that's part of the his charisma and charm and how he confused and confounded people, perhaps. Right, so tell us more then about mindfulness and what's occurred to you about that.
Well, when I'm talking about mindfulness, and this is why I always appreciate sort of the pun joke about mindful being full as opposed to being mindful, which is, two words versus one word, two different meanings. But what I mean is essentially that we're bringing our attention to ourselves internally. We're stopping. It takes a beat. You have to kind of pause to be mindful, I think. And to look at what I control, which is why I go back to this. I have certain themes I just go back to again and again because they seem to apply in nearly every situation. So you're looking at what we control, in my view, is our thoughts, our words, and our actions. So mindfulness is a practice or a process of bring our attention to one of those things, because that's all I can control. Typically for me, it's set off because I'm curious, or it's set off because I'm having some sort of an emotional response that I'm curious about. So it's all sort of based on curiosity. A lot of times when I'm talking here, I'm talking about the things that may upset us or frustrate us or annoy us or, create some kind of suffering in our lives. It's like, that's a great moment when you notice that, to bring your attention to it. And that notice and awareness and attention are all kind of the same thing, which then goes to the other sort of mantra of notice, choose, and act. For me, it nearly always, if not always, starts with noticing something. And you can notice something very pleasant, a feeling of love or affection for somebody. You go, oh, I'm noticing that, and then allow it if you choose, because that's the next phase, is choosing what you want to do about what you've noticed, to really allow yourself to bathe in it, to really be fully immersed in whatever that is that you notice. And some people say, well, that's great for good stuff like affection and love, but what about, anger and frustration? It's like, you can bathe yourself in that too. Sometimes that's therapeutic.
Mm-hmm.
You're not pushing it away. You're saying, okay, this is what's going on in me. I'm freaking pissed off. So then the mindful. Well, yeah, and there's a American English joke about that one too. I'd rather be pissed off than pissed on. So,
Oh my word! First thing in the morning.
yes, and to each his own. So I'm not judging. I'm just saying it's a funny comment. At least to me. So yeah, the mindfulness is the awareness, and the awareness is the noticing, and the noticing is the starting of being in control of what I control: my thoughts, my words, and my actions. So my life, basically, my life is those things. Mm-hmm. My life is my thoughts, my life is my words, and my life is my actions. It's not how someone else defines me. It's not their perception of me. It's not their opinion of me. It's not how they behave toward me. None of that is my life. That's their life. How I respond to what's going on around me is what I control. So to me, this process of mindfulness is all about all of these things coming together. It's waking up. So that's the noticing, paying attention, taking a beat. Rather than, I make the distinction between responding to something and reacting to something. A reaction is immediate, and it doesn't take that beat. It just, whatever, it's like, bam, that's a reaction. A response, to me, implies mindfulness. It implies taking a breath, maybe stopping, considering what just happened before I react to it, and then make a conscious choice. To me, that's what a response is. So when I use those two terms, that's what I'm talking about. People have different definitions of these things, but why I'm talking about this today is so that we can be clear what it is I'm talking about when I'm talking about mindfulness and mindful migration and these other thoughts. So to respond requires taking a pause, taking a beat and saying, all right, what's going on? How do I feel about that? What do I want to do about how I'm feeling? That's the choice part. And then taking the appropriate action. So that is, when people talk about being present in the moment, that's what happens when we become aware. We bring ourselves to right now, right here, this body, this person, this right now is
This
here
is
now
it,
present.
baby. Yep, absolutely.
And it, in that moment, there is no future, there is no past. It's just what's happening right now. Now, if we're not being mindful, almost immediately, we're going to be flooded with future and past. All the things, all the places we've been hurt by this kind of thing before, and all the pain and trauma, whatever might be in the past, or all the fear about where this may go if I do this, or if that happens, if that's the future. And that can just flood right in if we're not paying attention. So, why is this what does this have to do with immigration for me is that the more mindful we can be, the better experience of the whole process we can have. For me, ultimately, it's the reduction of suffering, which is about letting go. And I can't let go unless I know what I'm hanging on to, right? What do I let go of? Oh, that rope. I can let go of that rope. Now I can settle into what the reality is, even if it's a frustration around some bureaucratic process. If I can see it and own it and say, that's what's going on, and then make a conscious choice. Do I want to suffer around this? Do I want to be angry or upset? Do I want to take it out on other people? What are my choices? Then I can be in charge of me. And that, I think I made the point last week, that we don't have to do anything. It's all a function of choices. Sometimes it doesn't feel like a choice. But when we frame it in I have to, we are a victim. We don't control it. This is happening to me and I don't like it, so I'm a victim. In truth, I can make any choice I want around it. And I've mentioned this before. Sometimes the choices that sit in front of us, none of them look appealing. It doesn't mean we don't have a choice. It just means none of the choices give us perhaps the result that we would like to have. That's attachment. That's what I would like to have, not what I do have. So attachment is hanging on to an idea of something that is other than what is happening right now. I want my process to be finished. Well, it's not finished. That's the old, it is what it is. It's not something else. So the more we hang on to that, the more we suffer. So for my life, my choices consistently, I'm trying to, my goal, if you will, or at least my process is to always be as loving and kind and generous and all those qualities as I can be. Now, I can't be those things if I'm anxious or I'm depressed or I'm angry or these things. So how do I then, if I'm making the choice to have this experience in my life, how do I go about that? That's the notice, choose, and act process for me. And I say again and again that for me, it almost always begins with taking a breath. I become aware. To me, it's energetic. So there's always some kind of sensation. Usually it's somewhere around my chest, so which is, heart and lungs, which are very important, right? Blood and breath. Oh yeah. So it doesn't surprise me that emotion or energy, I tend to experience that there. And I'll notice that. I'll go, sometimes I don't know how I'm feeling. I just feel that something. Like I was talking about what I ultimately named immigration fatigue. What is that? I woke up one day and it's like, I feel different than most. Yeah. I feel different than most mornings. Somehow I don't feel as motivated. Somehow I feel there's almost a sense of defeat. What is this? This is unusual and I'm feeling it in my body. So that's the awareness, and that's the taking it inward and looking at it. And then for me, working it out, now that I've noticed what that is or what's going on, what do I want to do about it? And for me, it's like, first, I want to get a little clear about what's going on, why I feel this way. So I'll take a look at that, look at my history, look at what's been going on. Say, oh, okay, so that seems to be associated with just being tired. Tired of dealing with this and then that and then that and then that. It just feels like I'm constantly I'm in a crowd. I'm just always being pushed one way or the other, not the direction I want to go, whatever that is. And through that process, which is not a forever process, it doesn't take me 20 minutes to go through that, maybe 5 minutes to go through the whole thing. Then I get to making choices. And that's where the remedies or solutions that I provided last week come in. So if I don't want to feel this malaise, I don't want to feel this fatigue, I want to live fully and as positively as I can, what can I do? And again, I'll breathe. I'll get myself grounded. And breath for me is like magic. Take a deep breath in, hold it for,
special, let's
just
face it.
yes, and then out, and it's like, okay, here I am. I'm right here. I'm not in what's going to happen next with this damn bureaucratic thing. I'm right here, in a comfortable, warm bed, assessing my day and my life right now. Okay. And then I move on from there. So it's been very
magic. I think that's magic. And it's a superpower as well. What you're talking about is a superpower. And the interesting thing for me from what you're saying is you can only do it now. And that's why I think this weekly reminder is great, because if, for example, in your mind now, you're thinking, God, those two farts are talking about mindful migration again. It means you've drifted away from the magic of the moment. You've gone into judgment, or, something else has occurred. And there's an opportunity to take, do what James just said, which is, I don't know what I think about mindfulness, or mindfulness is X, Y, or Z. That's
or
going
why do I have that particular response to that particular observation?
Yes.
I'm disappointed or frustrated. Why?
Yes.
What is that about? It's an opportunity to discover yourself more deeply. Yes.
Absolutely right. And when you're in the midst of such things as waiting 10 months to exchange your driving license, that members of this community know well. And let's face it,
half mine. Good job. Took me 20.
And you know what? We'll find out from Tig in just a moment whether these processes are getting any better or not. So I think the money is on learning how to be more mindful in the midst of these things, rather than thinking that cursing them and being peed off about them is going to make them go any faster.
And again, there's no right way to do it. It's only right or wrong in relation to what it is you're committed to, what it is you're trying to do. As I often say, there's no right way to get to New York from California. There's just the most efficient way, which would be a straight line, and the least efficient way, which would be to head west and go through Asia, through Europe, across the Atlantic Ocean, and hit New York. Right?
Yes.
You'll still end up there, but so it's not a function of the right way or the wrong way. There's nothing wrong with being angry or sad. There's nothing right about being happy or joyous. It's just a choice. So for me,
though, is it? I mean, let's face it. It's not. I mean, I get you. I totally get your point. And I was going to show you a little bit of a sort of PR puff here about how the Algarve is becoming a top wellness destination. Now, that's certainly one spin we could put on Portugal, isn't it? Is come here for this great backdrop to explore wellness and mindfulness. From what you're saying there, James, it could also be promoted as a really good way to be peed off a lot of the time. For if you really like to be angry a lot of the time, move to Portugal and engage yourself in bureaucratic processes, morning, noon, and night. If that's your thing. Yes.
And this is what we do as humans. Like, we might not, there may be very few people who say, yeah, I love being angry. But if they spend most of their life being angry, they're getting something from that. There's a payoff to remaining in that state. So for me, I frequently look at what's the payoff to that position. You get to be right. You get to be superior. You get to, whatever it is, you get to be a victim, which means you don't have to be in charge of your own life because other people are. Whatever it is, there's some kind of a payoff to every position that we take. The position that I'm taking is I want to live a certain way. There's definitely, in my view, a payoff to that position. I get to live more at peace. I get to live in a way and interact with other people in a way that satisfies me. And I think that's a piece of the wellness of Portugal, is that I don't have to fight against the place I'm at to achieve that state. It actually works with me. It supports me. It makes it easier for me to live that way. And that's a huge relief that I experienced coming here that I was anticipating, but I didn't know for sure. So I feel so much more in alignment being here than I did even in Northern California, which is a pretty, sort of left progressive thinking area of the country. I still read occasionally in Facebook, not the news, some stuff that's going on in places that I'm familiar with. And I just, oh my God, I'm so glad I'm not there anymore.
I'm sure you're not the only one, and you're a wise man, I would say. For my money, in my book, the things you're talking about, the sort of life you want, I think your move here marks you out as a wise man, because it supports how you want to be in life. Other ways of achieving nirvana are coming in, including 4 litres of Alentejo Red sitting on the desk, which I suspect will be consumed this evening. Have a great morning, everyone. That's Pete, who's off out for his coffee and bifana, I think, over in central Portugal.
You could read that. He's getting set to drink that 4 liters that's on his desk.
I think so.
Have a good day.
I think that's the idea. By the way, the vampiric kitty is not mine. Oh, the cat enjoying the dragon fruit, which is probably something most people didn't think they were going to see this morning. This little kitty here is not John's cat. It was sent to me for educational purposes. Thank you for pointing that out, John. And thank you for your 7 deadly sins matrix, which I shall refer to later, guilty as charged. We've got Paul Richards saying, at a certain age, the next day is a bonus. I guess in many ways, at any age, that's true, isn't it? But I guess you become more present to that fact the older you get, maybe. And what a mindful moment that is when you're sat on the bed and you swung your legs out without too much.
As my wise mother said frequently, it beats the alternative.
Indeed, absolutely right. My mind feels very clear this morning, so I mentioned that to Dan. I think I could play a pinball game very accurately right now. That's Sarah's benchmark for a mental acuity. Settle down, woman. It was Dan's
pinball.
What? At this time in the morning? And you can find some pretty good pinball machines, I have to say. I saw you and me then, Sarah. We'll go to the Obidos Games Festival. There's some brilliant retro gaming consoles there and some brilliant pinball machines. So make a note of that. Bon dia from Bob. It was a wonderful weekend with Lisa up at the Montefrio alpaca farm. Very relaxing. Lisa's fabulous. She's one of the first people we met when we came to Portugal. And I don't really know why, but our paths crossed and we hit it off. And she's a fabulous, wonderful woman, is Lisa, who owns Montefrio alpaca farm. She is located near Aveiro in Nariz. Is that Nose? A place called Nose. Montefrio alpacas, and she does her own shearing, spinning, and dyeing yarn for sale. Viv made socks all in one weekend. Everything that you saw from the videos and pictures, and she made some socks, which I suspect she'll treasure for a long time and be able to darn them as well with the yarn she was making. Thank you, Bob, from Jackie the Humble Crafter. I spin and teach knitting and will be seeking fleece supplies once I'm there. Thank you so much. Isn't that wonderful? Come to Yosemite Sam School through the day and then walk the beach every evening to settle down. That's not a bad old lifestyle, is it? For
Yosemite Sam?
If you want to be even more angry, move to the UK. There's an invitation, which I don't think I'll be taking. Thank you very much, but good point. People here in the UK are too busy feeling defeated to have the energy to be angry. Oh, that's even lower down on the emotional scale than our first position there. I would love to go to the Obidos Games Festival. When is it? I will let you know. I think it's a few months to go. And I think they had a very successful first go. And I think they'll be back for that. I mean, can you imagine? In the
By the way,
go on.
I've heard several Portuguese say the name of that town now, and I realize how badly English speakers say it. I still don't say it right.
Well, Obidos.
But no, Obic.
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 Yeah, okay, fair enough. Obic.
Obic. It's like, what? Where? Obic. Have you been to Obic? I said, I've been to many beaches. What are you talking about? Yeah, it blew me. It just totally surprised me. So now I have to reshift how I hear that.
Yeah, and you've given me a notice, choose and act bit of homework there as well. I'm noticing that I've peed off because I've been saying it wrong for the last 5 years. I'm choosing not to be peed off now.
Well, I've been saying it wrong ever since I got here. So yeah, how do we know? Which just completely, well, not completely unrelated. I played with Chat GPT because of last week and getting first sort of exposure to it. And I've actually taught Chat GPT something about Portuguese.
Have you?
Yeah, because it gave me wrong information and I corrected it and it said, "Oh, you're right. You know, I did misstate that or whatever," and I switched it around so that I've corrected
James,
it.
James, when robots and artificial intelligence run the world, you will be spared. When they come round to your house, they will say, "Spare him. He taught us about Portugal." And they'll move on, go to the next house. Right. One more thing before Tig James, MBE, joins us from James Holley to Tig James. Something for the ladies now. I think this is a very Portuguese way of celebrating Dia da Mulher, Women's Day on Saturday, the 9th of March. You can have lunch and a stripper. I think it's quite expensive at €55, but apparently this way of celebrating International Women's Day, as spotted in Lisbon, will feature a well-oiled male stripper. By the look of that little vignette there. How about that, ladies? And James and I don't know, should we earn a few quid, maybe offer the same service to celebrate International Women's Day?
I think if I just show up as is, that would satisfy, right?
That's quite enough, isn't it? Let's see if we get any takers for that, James, as we welcome onto the screen, Tig James, MBE, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning to you, Tig. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. I'm here. I'm awake. And I actually, it's funny, I got annoyed about 10 minutes ago. There you go. You talked about getting angry. And
Yep.
I did.
We're here to help.
I moved, ages ago. Anyway, and with CTT, I paid the year's subscription to have your post forwarded whilst you're changing everything over. And whatever.
If you're moving house, this is the mail forwarding address in CTT. Okay, tell us all about it, Tig. What happened?
Okay, so and that cost me, because of course I've just had to go through the paperwork, €190 and 65 cents for a year, right. And they didn't do it.
Well, I can understand why you would be somewhat peeved by that. And this is, let me get this straight then. So this is CTT.
I was actually okay with that because I managed to actually get hold of the post that hadn't been forwarded. However, and I did this in beginning of October. So anyway, so I've had no post since the beginning of October. So I knew something was wrong. So I chased it up, yada, yada. Yeah. So, and I went into the post office and they said they were going to ring me. This is last week, never did. So the powers that be never did. So I went back in. No, that was 2 weeks ago. So I went back in again, saw the same guy, and he said to me, he went, right, okay. Wandered off, came back with the complaints book. I never even asked for it. And he said, this is the only... Never had that before. So, and he came back...
Let's just cut to the chase here, shall we?
Yeah. And he said, this is the only way. If they've not rung you, he said, this is the only way you're going to get something done. So I filled it in. Well, this morning, I got a reply.
By post or not?
By email.
Oh, okay, of course.
By email. I get like... one of my friends at uni, she used to say to me, you get instantaneous combustion. And she's right. I do. I was instant.
Smoke out the ears this morning.
At this response, because it was and normally things like this, they're really polite, aren't they? Really polite when they reply. And here in Portugal, I find he was so rude. He didn't even use his full name, only his Christian name. And he said, basically, in this reply was prove it.
Really?
Yeah.
He's at the end of his tether by the sound of it. He's gone postal, you might say.
This is on the the help, the support team, and he just said, "Prove it."
Yeah.
Prove that you didn't get the mail. What?
I've got sympathy. I've got a lot to say about this, as I'm sure other people have, and I've got a lot. I mean, before we even get to helping Brits, post-Brexit Brits, but this is definitely a useful detour because CTT, I suspect, will be just putting the complaints book as their homepage soon on the internet. Just, and if you go into the post office, you can get a ticket just to go straight to the complaints book or send a letter. Or
I had no intention of doing that. It was only when the guy came out and says, if they haven't rung you, he says, there's no way you're going to get a response complaints. Because I went, oh, okay.
So what do you want to do? Presumably you want your post that you've been missing and you'd like your money back for the service that hasn't been.
Oh, yeah. What I said was, and I mean, the response was just appalling.
Yeah,
absolutely appalling. So I wrote straight back, which is probably the wrong thing to do.
Yes, I think you're right.
I take a few minutes, but I thought, well, it's not going to change what I'm going to say, which is this is appalling, And of course, I have got posts. I've got Christmas cards from this year, Christmas cards from December that with the post date on, and I got this service from October. With the address on.
So they didn't redirect, and your post was going to your old address, was it? And you had to go and get it yourself. Okay. All right.
And but how many people? What if you'd moved hundreds of miles away?
No, I understand absolutely, and I'm already and I know when someone has a problem, it's probably not a good idea to go straight into fixing. James, a psychotherapist, will tell you here. First of all, we do need to say we hear you, and that is
yes, it's okay if you ask permission. Are you open to some ideas or some feedback? And if they say no, I'm freaking pissed off right now. It's like, okay,
yeah, shut up.
I won't make any.
Well, this was immediately, but he actually said in there, it's not CTT's responsibility.
What, to forward the mail that you asked them to forward? How dare you, Tig? How dare you ask them to provide a service?
That you paid for a service for them to do, by the way. Yeah. So whose job is it? I paid you. Doesn't that make it your job?
And obviously, I paid nearly €200 for something I'm not getting.
That sounds really expensive.
That's not cheap.
By local
it's not cheap. So anyway, that was my instantaneous combustion this morning for about.
Quite right too. Yes.
I get annoyed and then I come down and I'm fine. And I don't take that out on it. I do isolate it to the incident. I don't then get angry with anybody else, which, but I'm okay now. But that was about 15 minutes ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Although the contagion has begun, please, I don't want to hear this right now. I've just sent my passport back to the UK for renewal. My personal experience of
just don't move. Just don't move.
Passport renewal is
your passport will be fine because they do it by courier.
Yeah, that's right. And my experience is that, Darren. So you should be fine with that. They're not messing about losing passports in the post here. As bad as the post is by many accounts, if it's done by courier, that's a great improvement, basically.
And to be fair, from another point of view, not that I've had a lot of interactions, but every exchange I've had with CTT has been positive. So.
I think it just depends who you get on the day, doesn't it? And I know if I get this guy in my post office, he's great.
Yeah, same here.
So
face
helpful.
To face, yeah.
One particular bloke, he's lovely, and that's what I say. He just disappeared and came back with the complaints. But he just said, "You're not going to get anywhere unless you do this."
Yeah, there's a void at the back, isn't there? Where you see your letter disappearing, I think, is where the trouble can begin. And what I would suggest as a little hack here, if I may add this, is if you're moving, you could pay the old person or the new person in your house €100, saving yourself 90 odd euros to forward it on for you. And they might do a better job of doing that.
The only problem, you see, obviously that is something that I would have done and whatever, but they're doing it for rentals. So I'm a bit sort of stuffed, really.
Oh, yeah. Right, okay.
Regularly anyway, it was the best way I worked out to do it in the end, but it's just the fact that I got this thing back saying not our responsibility, prove it with your post, and of course I could. See, they didn't expect that. I'm sure they didn't expect that, and it was just the attitude.
Well, you countered well there, or you will be, I'm sure, Tig. And good to hear that you're quick to anger, but soon, if not to forgive, then to calm down and take practical action.
It is what it is, isn't it? And
And that's the value of letting yourself have the anger. You get it expressed, you get it out, then you don't need to carry it with you on to the next thing. So that's the value of saying, yeah, I'm choosing anger right now. Boom, have it, do it, get over it.
And I think when people say you shouldn't get angry, I think that's a really dangerous thing.
That's impossible.
It's never helped anyone I've ever said that. Any wife, any girlfriend that I've ever said that to, it's never really worked very well. You shouldn't.
Calm down doesn't work very well either in that moment.
Calm down, Carl. You say calm down to a woman. I mean, you're just asking for trouble, aren't you?
Really? And you just never learn. Okay, February 2nd, not only my birthday, but Groundhog Day as well. Or in Portuguese, Puxatani in Portuguese. Phil, the groundhog, comes out of his den, and if he sees his shadow, there will be 6 more weeks of winter, and nobody has got time for that, as you say in America. And no one I know has ever worked naked that day. Oh yes, because it will be obvious in Viv's mind on her birthday that it's World Naked Work Day. Other days, yes, but not that one. Okay, well, thank you. So Tig,
yes.
How's it been? This is your first month of the year under your belt as an MBE. Has it changed your life?
Not particularly, no. I think what I find interesting is people are sort of like a bit more, ooh.
Yeah, that's right. CTT need to know, don't they?
I should have. I should have put on the email, shouldn't I? MBE. I didn't. I don't think. The only place I ever put it is on here because you said I should, so I did.
Right. And the funny thing is, from now on, it will be on all your letters, hopefully, as well, won't it? So the CTT should be taking that more seriously, I would say.
I haven't put it on. That's what I'm saying. I didn't.
You must. I thoroughly recommend that you do that.
That definitely goes in the category of we'll see.
Yes. I tell you what I did the other day, because of course changing all addresses and that, and because I'm actually on the move again very shortly. Long story that not going to bore anybody with. I'm
quite intrigued though. I'm quite intrigued.
It's it was funny. I was having a problem changing my address with my car insurance. And suddenly MBE appeared on my name, and it happened.
Did it? So it was a British insurance company then, was it? Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah,
could be coincidence. Could be something.
I'd gone from sort of like not particularly interested. You got to do this, you got to do that, which I already knew and I'd already done. And I just said, look, you got the paperwork. Please just change it. MBE. And of course, we will now do that.
Naturally, we'll escalate you to our VIP department. You're going to be offered all sorts of premium credit cards. All sorts of things are going to be happening now.
So the solution to all of us having those problems, just put MBA after it.
Try it, James. Try it. James Holley, MBE. See what happens. I mean, on the one hand, you might get better service, but then you will also get a visit from the British establishment asking you to refrain in the first instance, but they will.
Portugal, where are all they coming from?
Suddenly, yeah.
I don't know. I bet there's some penalty for doing it, isn't there?
I certainly hope so. Yes. I certainly hope so.
Yeah. So anyway, you asked me on to tell you. I think I just clocked
you distracted us. You distracted us with some excellent first-hand testimony of difficulties with CTT. So sorry about that. Yes,
brought it all together too.
Yes.
Yeah. So you asked, I think you were saying about an update. I just caught the tail end of the sentence about how things are going with Aima and Seth, was it?
Oh, for sure. We rely on you to tell us how things are in this regard.
Well, change of address, you see. What do you have to do? You have to inform Aima. I can't even get registered on the site.
Tell me, do you also do it at the freguesia level, or do you want to do it first and foremost for Aima and Seth?
Everybody.
How the system worked before was obviously, you'd registered on Seth.
Yeah.
And I can still get into my Seth account, still get into that, but can't get a new appointment because as far as they're concerned, I've got my card. So you're a non-entity.
So what do you want now?
Yes. Yeah. So I went on to Aima. I can't even register.
Okay.
Cannot even register to change my address. So, the good part about it is, and again, changing my address. I went to another institution the other day and I just said, I'm changing my address, yada, and said, have you got your residency card? And she said, your address is wrong. And I said, you really want me to change it with Aima? And she went, yeah, okay.
Enough. Yes, just give it here, yeah. Okay.
Everyone knows that it's a waste of time.
So would you recommend then the course of action being that if you can't register at that bureaucratic internet level, you go change your address at the freguesia and register yourself as a local inhabitant in the local parish office, or just keep trying on Aima?
What I would suggest is go to Loja de Cidadão.
Okay. All right. And just say, I would like to change my address on my official documents and just see what happens, and make a note of when you went, obviously, and do the paper trail. Do a paper trail. And also, what they say is ring Aima and email them. Yes.
It's very rare anybody gets a reply. But but again, you see, emailing them, do a screenshot.
Yeah. Okay. Very good.
Every single point, prove that you've done everything that you possibly can. And I would even do that with your phone. If you can get a screenshot of your phone where you've made phone calls and just not got everything, just evidence it.
Yes.
It's going on to that. I was in contact with the embassy last week, and they're saying to me that because of course we've had lots of problems with family reunification. So what they've done is they've now collated all the cases right back from the summer, had a meeting with AIMA last week and put every single one again back forward to them. So everybody that's got an issue, AIMA have now again got them right in front of them. And I'm in there because I want to change.
This is pressure from the British embassy to make this happen. Okay.
Yeah, they've had a meeting with them. So, and I'll get follow-ups on that in the next couple of weeks anyway. So
very good. Okay, so what's going on at the embassy? When are we going to get to meet the new ambassador?
I don't know. I mean, she's in post-January.
Okay.
I know that I'm going to meet her. They've said that they're going to arrange a meeting.
And if you get the chance over lunch to say, she'd be very welcome to come and say hi on the Good Morning Portugal show. That would be wonderful, because we talked to Chris, of course, a long time ago on the show. Yeah, fantastic. Thanks for that. So anything else that the post-Brexit Brits need to be aware of? I mean, it pretty much sounds like it's the same old, right? It's just a blockage. I keep trying, play bureaucracy poker, isn't it? It's like, well, you haven't been in touch. I so have. I raise your doubts with my 3 screenshots of when I tried before, and just to keep in the loop that way, right?
People have, I mean, I know people that have emailed hundreds of times.
Yeah.
Got nowhere. Got absolutely nowhere. But all you can do is try, and with the methods that they give you, and if you and just, as I say, evidence it, and then it's down to them, isn't it? I mean, I just wish that they did like with the driving licenses thing, that if you because with your driving license you don't have to change your address, as long as it because they go automatically to the financiers address that you've given.
Okay,
if they just did that, it'd save everybody and them. How much work would it save them?
However, you make an assumption there that the bureaucracy wants to be more efficient. Now, I've come to realize that is not their primary aim, is it, to make things? Because it was the penny dropped for me when I realized, hold on a minute, if you do bureaucracy for a living, the more bureaucracy you have, the more of a job you're going to have, right? And the longer you're going to be employed. I suspect that is the
and you're right. And of course, your residency documentation is an identification. So if your details are incorrect on there, that will be their viewpoint. But at the end of the day, they are anyway, because nobody can get them changed.
Right. I'm sorry to laugh, but what else can we do?
I mean,
I need to go to
the bathroom. No.
I was going to say I didn't want to talk over or interrupt, but interesting little bureaucratic thing that's related around residency card. My residency expired on the 2nd, so 3 days ago. And there's apparently a law with the banks, with immigrants, that you have to update your information prior to your residency expiring. But I haven't been able to get an appointment for my renewal.
Right.
So now I have to physically, according to one source, I'm going to try another call because that's one of the strategies. You just keep calling till someone tells you what you want to hear. I have to physically take my passport with me to a branch.
That's right.
Of this online banking system to show them.
That's right.
My old information to update my information.
Okay. The reason for that is because it's expired, and they will not take an expired document at banks. They won't do it. Yeah. And that, of course, was the big problem that we had with the withdrawal agreement biometric cards, because people's residencies had expired. We hadn't got new cards. No institution would take an expired card, but produce your passport, and often that will help. That will do it. But yeah, the banks, you just produce your passport. But there was a law, wasn't there? Though I didn't look at it too much because it's not my area. But they've extended, if you're, I think, till the end of the year. Don't quote me on that, but it's definitely been extended. That they're still valid.
Yes, fair enough.
The way Portugal look at it is, as well, it's just because your document hasn't has expired, if you're still fulfilling the conditions of residency, you're still a legal resident. And they've had to do that because SEF and AIMA can't keep up.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
okay. Well, thank you for that, James. Now, just to clarify, when you said you had to go to a branch, you don't mean the Portuguese city or town of a branch, do you? Mean a branch of the bank?
No, yes. Well, and the catch for me with Activo is they don't have like some of the big banks where they have a bank in every city in the country. This will require me to take an 1.5-hour bus ride to Lisboa to find, to get to an Activo, or to Torres Vedras, or because Ericeira does not have. Basically, it's just a little shop window in a mall. But that's
Millennium's online bank, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. And it works in I love it, except that when my residency expires, I have to then verify my data, which I can't because I can't get an appointment. So, and
this is the big problem, of course, for people, is that this fine, as far as, you're not in trouble, but you might be if you travel and your documents have elapsed. You're all right moving around in the country here, but if you try and leave the country, who was telling us? It was Gilda, I think, saying, when you fly back, fly direct into Portugal. Don't go via Frankfurt or somewhere like that, because you could be, flying into Germany, don't you? It can be difficult if you haven't got the right documents.
You haven't got and especially Germany, because they're so fixed. They are so regimented in it. This is what your paperwork says, and your paperwork says it's expired, therefore it's expired. And you will not move them. You will not move. It doesn't matter what you say.
So a little bit of a tip there for US people who are using their passport and they haven't been able to renew their documents, is to fly back direct to Portugal, who should give you a better,
much as possible.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning that, James. Go on, of course, Tig. Yeah, please do.
Okay. One of the things I wanted to say was that, of course, if people could remember UK citizens remember to register to vote. And now UK nationals that have been out of the country for more than 15 years, we've had our rights restored. We can now vote again in the UK, which, of course, we're coming up to a general election there. So it's very important. And if you register and you don't want to go back, you then have to also register for a proxy vote, which you can do online as well.
Okay.
I mean, about the only thing they don't ask about your proxy is what colour knickers they wear, but you can,
I actually know the answer to that, but anyway, yes, that's irrelevant. Yeah, that's irrelevant. But it's also
my answer is what knickers?
Stop it.
I remember you saying you actually did. You were saying about. I caught a bit of one of your programs where it said about immigrant animosity.
Oh well, this is something we're keeping an eye on.
I would if I were you, because there's certainly here there is, absolutely.
Yeah, I'll go.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would say that there is, because of we.
You unpack that a little bit. What do you mean exactly by that, Tig?
I've certainly, with immigrants taking up spaces in the health centres. I mean, going back, this is aside from the staff. Portuguese people now are getting I've heard and seen and had reports of, getting a little bit resentful that they now can't get healthcare themselves. And I get it,
of course,
and I get it. And of course, the more people that are coming in, it's notable, obviously, that we're getting more North Americans, isn't it, James? We've got a bigger influx now for various reasons. And I have heard quite a few people getting quite disgruntled.
Yeah.
So it is there.
There's no question about that it would exist. It could exist, and people are experiencing that. So no question about that. And my personal response to that, and as a representing this organization, if you like, is that we should talk about it, as well as talking about what we can do about it. Get to the bottom of it. Get to it's notice choosing an act again, isn't it? I mean, I do understand people's visceral and emotional reaction to the idea that they and their family and their kids can't get an appointment because of flipping foreigners coming over and overwhelming their system.
Well, and if you really look at the issue, it's not the number of foreigners, it's the number of staff that hasn't been supplied to deal with the extra numbers regardless of where they're from. Because everyone is eligible for the system. So they all have a right to be there. And it's not the foreigners' fault that they still have the same number of doctors, nurses, and administrative staff they did 10 years ago. That's not the immigrants' problem or fault.
It isn't the immigrants' fault, because everybody is entitled under the law, obviously, to receive healthcare, etc. But the problem is exactly what you're saying, James. They haven't updated or renewed or enlarged their infrastructure to support the financial side of foreigners coming in, which they want. Yeah. And we all know why they welcome foreigners, because they want the money, and that's fair enough, you know, if that's how it is. But then you have to supply the infrastructure, and they're not doing it. And
which is again completely normal. I think it's a political maneuver, isn't it? To when if politicians are feeling the heat for not replenishing the infrastructure of the health system, and their population is saying it's all the foreigners' fault, I imagine many politicians will just walk away quietly and just say, "Oh yes, you might be right there. Anyway, I've got to go and have lunch now." You know,
as the foreigners, you know, if we want to try to have an intelligent, healthy response, rather than getting angry because you're blaming it on me, redirect the anger. Say, look, I understand that you're angry about that. I'd be angry. I'm angry too, because I have just as much trouble getting an appointment as you do. But it's not either of our fault. You know, look at the government. Look at the people who are not hiring the staff to support this population. That's where we are best served in redirecting our frustrations. Yeah, well, that's a more complex. You know, it's much easier to point the finger and blame someone.
And just like the queues for Ima and Seth, it's going to get bigger, and we should be prepared, and we should be ready to have those sort of conversations. Would you agree with that, Tig?
Yeah, we do. And what I want to actually say as well is that, I mean, one of the email address that people that for Brits that were here before 2021, we were told Brexit@ama.pt, which I've put out a couple of times on here. It bounces.
Yeah. I think you mentioned that, and it's just ridiculous, isn't it? But
you know, and I tried it again for me the other day because again trying to change my address and whatever, it just bounces. So it's, what do you do? So and the answer to that is what Jay says: you just chill out with it.
Yes. Yeah. Do what you can. Take the nest. You know, you see what's going on. See what you can do about it, and then take a chill pill thereafter. Because these challenges are not going anywhere soon. It is our opportunity to learn how to deal well with them, because they're ever present and growing as certainly in the next few months, I would say, until things, if ever, calm down. Go on, James.
They're all contributors to this idea of immigration fatigue, because you always have to think about it. You can't ever let it go. One more email, they're not responding. What else? It's just always there around you until the thing gets resolved, and that can start wearing you down. So what do you do about it? Just the question. And what you said, just
well said. Let's
deal with it.
Few more comments. Thanks for that, Viv. There are challenges to that thinking. There are other ways in without a NIS, but if you've got a NIS, you're kind of belt and braces. So thank you for that. No. Portugal. Oh, sorry. What's that, Tig?
No, you don't.
You don't need a NIS.
Because lots of people, foreigners, don't have NIS.
Yeah, and they still, for some reason, get in there. It seems to have helped Bob and Viv's chances.
I've got a NIS. I can't register.
Okay, all right. So there you go. Portugal offered me true happiness. Not that I was unhappy in the US, but in a previous life, it seemed I was always looking for something to fill a void, and now I simply wait for things to come to me. Nice one, Antonio. 20 time. Man in the Minho, I am one of the lucky ones where Portugal changed me, and not the other way around, where I wanted to change Portugal. Indeed, there's quite a lot of, I'm seeing a lot of social media. The meme, which in fact was part of one of my Portugal resident articles recently, was this, you came here because you didn't like there, and now you want to change here to be like there. So you shouldn't have moved from there, kind of thing. I mean, that is rather simplistic, but we get the gist. I am one of the lucky ones, Antonio says, and I think a lot of us would call ourselves lucky ones here. We have, PT Country Bear is here. Good to see you. We have the incorrect address on our residency card for 2 years. What helped us is to have an atestado de residencia from our Junta de Freguesia when updating all the other agencies. That was the route I suggested there. So maybe that Loja de Cidadão, as Tig is saying as well, as another option. Good luck with that, Bob, coming back through. Go on, Tig.
the reason that I say about the loads you considered out is because they've got access to AMA.
Yep. Okay. So that's a good option as well.
I mean, obviously, an attestado proves your address. I mean, most people can do that anyway with rental agreements or house deeds. So you should have that anyway. But yeah, some people, it is better if you can do that. But of course, you need 2 people to be witnesses that are Portuguese citizens to do it. That's where the difficulty comes in.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, that can be a tricky one for some people. I haven't always had to do that when I've done that in various places I've lived, but that is standard practice, isn't it? You take 2 people who live in the parish to attest to the fact that you do as well. Go in a couple of minutes.
Benefit of living with them.
It is, isn't it? Good morning. What's the topic today? Well, we're nearly done, Jeffrey. Thank you for being here, but it's been mindful migration. We've been talking about Disease X, Pat, and also a post-Brexit Brit update with Tig James, MBE here as well. Well said, James, on how you're responding to the expat antagonism, as you branded it there this morning, Tig. Hola, bon dia, Malta. Tig does a fantastic job, yes, and so say all of us. Thanks for being here this morning, Tig. And immigrants are a popular and easy scapegoat. 'Twas ever thus. Wherever you go in the world, I think.
There's always someone, yes.
There's always someone where that proverbial rolls downhill in society. So, final words. Let's go. Let's finish with you, Tig. But first of all, James, how are you going to see us into the new week, James?
Again, noticing there's a lot of energy around the things that are not working for us. And I get it. I share it. I'm in it. So for me, it's like take control of your own life in the face of what's going on and choose how you want to experience being here now.
Nicely done, sir. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you for being here. See you next Monday. And Tig, we'll see you next month. What have you got for us to see us into the week this week? And we're sorry to hear about CTT and you, and we hope that is resolved quickly.
But again, you said, I've forgotten it.
Oh, sorry. I reminded you.
Said, for me, it's forgotten because, and it's like James said, just let it go. Just deal with it. Do what you can. Let it go because it drive you nuts here.
I want that on a mug or a t-shirt. Do it and let it go. Otherwise, it will drive you nuts. That's perfect. Yes.
It will.
And the Brits would say, has done. Has done.
and you know this better than anyone, don't you, Tig, from your own experience and dealing with the experience of hundreds, if not thousands of people facing these challenges, right?
Yeah, and I really feel for them. You know, I mean, I've been in a really, I mean, it is interesting that I was one of the last people to get the withdrawal agreement biometric card, but that was just because of the way, again, Seth messed it up. So I'm there and I understand it. You know, I was sat opposite my personal banker and with my account on the screen, you know, with the app on my phone, and she wouldn't accept that as documentation because my residency had run out.
Incredible, isn't it? But
it's absolute madness. So
rules is rules. That's right. Yep, that's how it rolls. So just to reiterate one more time, do it, let it go. Otherwise, it will drive you nuts. Basically, that. Yes. Okay. Don't let it drive you nuts, folks.
Don't let it drive
Thank you, Tig. Thank you, James. Nice big round of applause for you. And we'll see you again soon in your respective slots. Ciao, ciao. And bye for now, everybody. Have a great day. Have a great week.